morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It is morning here for me and Sam in Costa Rica. I am Michael O'Shea, and Sam is just on the other side of this lens. What's up? But we just arrived to the domestic terminal here in San Jose from Tamarindo. The journey has definitely begun after a 6.5-hour freezing cold bus ride from Tamarindo to the San Jose domestic terminal airport. We are now sitting on about a 5.5-hour wait time for our first flight for me and Sam to venture into the Amazon of Peru, as I'm taking Sam to meet my teachers from a very special indigenous tribe, the Shipibo tribe, to go do plant medicine, to continue to embark on our personal inward expanding journey. Next, after that, is we will be taking the next flight to Panama, then into Peru, changing planes in Peru for another 5-hour layover, then on another plane to Iquitos. Iquitos is actually, a lot of people don't know this, it's the second largest city in the entire world with no roads going in. You can only get in there by plane or by boat. From Iquitos, we'll spend a day there, touring around the markets, gathering some materials and some items to go into the jungle. Then by Monday morning, we'll be getting picked up for a 2.5-hour car ride down south, and then be picked up on the side of the road by an ATV to take a 30-minute trek into the jungle to be at the Amazon camp of Incanquena. The greatest rewards in your personal life come when you're willing to go beyond your comfortability and your safety zones. Join us. Welcome to the Sam and O'Shea Lounge, where we eat our ayahuasca prepared food because we're on our special diet. As we sit here waiting for this flight, we're perched up in a hall in the airport, eating some food that we prepared for us, actually 3 big bins of large formatted food. Because on the journey to ayahuasca, or preparing for such an experience, there's a lot of regimen that goes into it to better prepare you for the experience that you'd like to have. And part of that is, actually one of the biggest parts is the diet. And the reason the diet is so important is how we prepare our body to welcome the medicine into our body. And part of that diet is no meat of any kind, starting around 2 weeks out. If you can get to a month, it's the best. Around 2 weeks out, you start no meat, you start cutting out any alcohol. By a week out, no salts, no oils, no spices, nothing overly citrusy. 2 days out, it's like no avocados, because everything you want is to be as clean as possible, and so that as the medicine enters the body's as clean as a vessel as possible for it to work through the system. The salt actually takes away from the visions. The oil, as we know, slows things down, so the oil slows the process of the medicine absorption through the blood system, through the stomach, through the intestines. And so, yeah, we brought 3 huge bins of food. We've already eaten 2 from the bus to here. And when we get to Iquitos, I can't wait to take Sam to one of my favorite restaurants, as it has literally a complete ayahuasca diet. These restaurants in Iquitos have like literal ayahuasca diets, and so I'm sure you'll get to join us on part of that journey as well. See you in Panama.
Good evening, passengers. Welcome to Panama City, Panama, the local time 8:23 p.m. In order to disembark the aircraft in other matter, please remain seated and keep your carry-on in stowed until the first signal signs are off. We suggest taking your belongings when the exit flash next to your row and you are ready to disembark. Be careful when opening the overhead compartments and the content may have shifted during the flight.
What's the update, broski? What's happening?
Well, we're in a 4-hour layover waiting for our next flight, as we just arrived to Lima after nearly missing our flight in Panama from Costa Rica, running like freakouts. And then we'll land in Iquitos around 7 a.m. Just running on a little bit of lack of sleep, lack of comfort, lack of peace. But once we get there, it'll be all worth it. You know, right now we can't have any kind of coffee or caffeine, because in the process of your diet, you're also keeping your adrenals as regular as possible, or trying to generate them back to regular, so no stimulants. So a little bit tired, but it seems that like the further we push ourselves beyond our normality to embark on this journey with the medicine, it seems like the reward and the benefit on the other side is that much greater than I found. So looking forward to share this with you, Sambo, and can't wait to get to the jungle again.
So We got quite a bunch of stuff we need to get, like supplies for the jungle and all that stuff. What do we have to get? What are we looking for?
Some of the things you like to bring to the jungle or into these ceremony spaces is kind of things that help you, that support you or navigate you in further into the process when you're either before the medicine, during the medicine, after the medicine. One of the biggest ones is mapacho, which it's called Rustica nicotina is its scientific name. It's indigenous tobacco. That's used in ceremony for protection, for cleaning, for cleansing your space, for cleaning other people's space. Another thing is it's like a perfume type of liquid called agua de Florida. That's used for cleansing as well. The smells of those both help you kind of align and become more attuned with the plants. So it's like if you've ever walked by someone or been around someone that you've smelled them and you're like kind of attracted to it, that's kind of what the process is with these other items that we're getting, is to kind of align our smells, our pheromones to be more attuned to the plants. And we'll get some gifts for the head maestro and shaman at the camp. And just some stuff for gifts and some small things at this market you just can't get anywhere else in the world, or we kind of take homes for us and any of those that we feel deserve one of the gifts from where we're going.
Nice, exciting times. Couple more hours to go.
Couple more hours, yeah.
Damas y caballeros, para mantener el confort en la cabina y un planeta más sano, les solicitamos por favor cerrar sus ventanillas y abrir las tomas de aire acondicionado en el panel arriba de sus asientos.
For your own safety, please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the plane comes to complete stop. The fasten seatbelt sign is turned off. Cell phones can be used at this time, however, electronic devices must remain on.
Maybe Mallorca, maybe a company, maybe Clubele, Urela. We're gonna have breakfast and see what we're doing. We need to connect with our maestro, see if he's gonna meet us, and then we'll decide. Are you here, Ryan? Just yes, I am here. Okay. El número.
Bueno, pregunte. El precio es 13.
So it's 10 p.m. in Iquitos. We're pretty much packed up here. Once we got in this morning at 7 o'clock, it was a full day of non-stop finding proper food for diet, to getting a bunch of supplies that we need to be in the jungle for the next 2 weeks. But we get picked up in 8 hours, and we start the 2.5 hour drive into the camp. So we can be joining a 10 a.m. class that they're going to be hosting, and jump into our vapor baths and prepare ourselves for our first ceremony tomorrow night. Got to get some rest.
Yuppie, yuppie, yuppie.
Estar en el presente y encontrarás, estar en el corazón y verás. Estar en el presente y encontrarás, estar en el corazón y verás. Este amor que fluye bien adentro, aquí hay una semilla. Este amor que fluye bien adentro, aquí hay una semilla. Ha sido sembrada en ti y el amor es el agua que alimenta. La semilla ha sido sembrada en ti y el amor es el agua que alimenta. Con amor eternamente crecerá, mi madre lo hace así. Con amor eternamente crecerá, mi madre lo hace así. Estar en el presente y encontrarás, estar en el corazón y verás. Estar en el presente y encontrarás, estar en el corazón y verás. Este amor que fluye bien adentro, aquí hay una semilla. Este amor que fluye bien adentro, aquí hay una semilla. Ha sido sembrada en ti y el amor es el agua que alimenta. La semilla ha sido sembrada en ti y el amor es el agua que alimenta. Con amor eternamente crecerá, mi madre lo hace así. Con amor eternamente crecerá, mi madre lo hace así. Con amor eternamente crecerá, mi padre lo hace así. Con amor eternamente crecerá, la fuerza me hace así. It has been planted inside your heart, and love is the water that feeds. The seed has been planted inside your heart, and love is the water that feeds. With love eternally it will grow. My mother, she makes it so. With love eternally it will grow. My mother, she makes it so. Be in the now you will find, and be in the heart you will see. Be in the now you will find.
So I am a facilitator of traditional Amazonian plant medicine. I've been living in Peruvian jungle for 10 years. So I'd like to share some things about some of the things that we do here. The smoke bath, so there's many forms of bathing. We bathe in the vapor of plants, we bathe in the liquid of plants, and we bathe in the smoke of plants. And the smoke bath usually utilizes wood like Palo Santo, eucalyptus leaves, for example, rue leaves that are have a high essential oil content, because this is physically it actually kills airborne bacteria that spiritually and energetically deals with unwanted energies, entities, and it is one of the treatments for certain forms of possession, and the ailments that arise from possession, such as insomnia, sleep paralysis, psychosis. One puts these plants and sometimes also animal bones into a pot and produces a large amount of smoke, and then covers oneself with a blanket and allows the smoke to wrap around the body. So mapacho is a fundamental tool of ours. It is a relative of tobacco. What we know of as tobacco is Nicotiana tabacum, and mapacho is Nicotiana rustica. As I said, it is a relative endemic to the Amazonian jungle. It's apparently has a higher nicotine content than tobacco, but it's totally safe and has no additives and has no tar. And there's not one reported case of any smoking related cancer, whether tongue, lung, throat, from the use of this plant, this tobacco relative. Apparently it was formative in the indigenous tribes starting to utilize plants and learn about Amazonian traditional plant medicine. Apparently it's one of the first plants that they worked with, and apparently it served to help them connect with other plants in the jungle. So it's a very fundamental thing, and we use it extensively for protection, cleansing, internal cleansing, external cleansing, protecting spaces, helping people in ceremony, either with, if they're overwhelmed, or if there are some untoward energies around and bringing people down. It's a very versatile tool. It's a very helpful spirit that can help with just about anything if you have the right intention and the right relationship with.
Sirenita de los ríos, danza, danza con el viento. Sirenita de los ríos, danza, danza con el viento.
Bovinsana is a plant that it's a shrub, but it can become a tree. There's a few plants in the jungle that are shrubs, but given enough time and the right conditions, they can become trees. It's a plant that thrives on water, by water, so in and around rivers, which determines some of its characteristics. It's very watery in its elemental makeup, dealing a lot with the heart and emotions and love. When you take it as a medicine, it does treat the physical heart and the circulatory system. Dealing a lot with the issues of the heart chakras, of forgiveness and self-love and self-forgiveness, these things. It has a pink flower, pink and white, but the physical flower is white, then turning into pink. But spiritually and energetically, it's definitely, the pink is significant in what it symbolizes as far as, again, love, and particularly self-love, and this being a specific part of its teachings. And so, when one engages in the Bovinsana Dieta, it involves consuming the plant in conjunction with fasting, isolation, minimal food, minimal communication, in order to kind of develop a connection with the plant, develop a relationship with the plant, but also to kind of allow its frequency to permeate one and inscribe itself at the deepest level deep within the being, the physiology, and even the DNA of the person. And so, as this vibration goes in, starts to grow, then it eventually will weed out things that are not resonant with it. So, in doing so, then anything that is not resonant, any of our lack of self-love, self-aggression, subtle or not so subtle forms of self-aggression, or unloving thoughts that we have to ourselves, or unloving programs that we've picked up from the world and from society at large and from our upbringings, whatever, will slowly start to be weeded out as the vibration of that plant grows within the person, and therefore taking up space so that whatever is not resonant with that has to fall by the wayside, has to be healed, has to be released. The plant is quite multidimensional and has a very playful aspect. It has a very feminine aspect, often appearing as a pink teenage girl. So there's a lot of play and likeness. And it also has a very strong masculine element to it with other aspects of the plant. So the plant is very balanced in its yin and yang qualities, I guess you could say.
How you doing, Sambo?
Good. Dance.
Yeah, hot.
Amazonian sauna. Yep, that's it.
No, you gotta keep going a few times.
Do you feel the winds whisper, the warning of thunder, the call of the wild? Do you feel the waters bless the praise?
So the vapor baths are also a very key part of our treatments here. Certain plants, either the bark or the leaves, are put into a really large pot, which is then cooked on the fire, and then when it's boiling, it is placed in front of someone they rest on a wooden frame and are covered with a plastic tarp. So it's like a personalized sauna, basically. But the healing effects of this method of administration are very vast, because the heat opens up your pores, and then the plant vapors enter into the blood, the nerves, the veins, everything systemically, or through the pores of the skin. But then also one is instructed to inhale and swallow the vapor, which then it enters through the lungs and also the stomach. And so these treat a whole array of things, on the external level, any kind of inflammation, any of the itises, arthritis, bursitis, all of that inflammation in the joints and the bones. It can heal chronic pain, it can heal skin issues, it can heal asthma, it can purify the blood, it can detox heavy metals, and then when it goes in internally, it addresses things on a more psychological, emotional level, anxiety, depression, also various forms of psychosis, insomnia. It also serves to just, one doesn't have to have an ailment to benefit from this. It also serves to empty us. Plants enter into our body and they empty us of concerns, worries, stresses. So yeah, it's very powerful for unloading, helping us to unload all this stuff that we carry from our lives. One has to wet the body before entering, just to ensure that you don't get too hot, and then afterwards you need to do just a covering with mapacho smoke. This is both for the person receiving it, and also some of the plants that are used have very strong energy, and like, for example, if there's young children around, that can be too much. If someone who did the bath actually held the child, energy can be too much for the child, so it's also to protect other people from energies of those plants. And with the vapor baths, it's not so much, they do have specific plants, and for certain ailments they'll put specific plants in, but there's quite a wide range of plants that can be used, also non-Amazonian plants, and it's more about the method of administration, or the way it enters the body, that produces the effects. But there are, for example, in the HIV treatment, there's specific plants that they put that are more toxic, that can't be inhaled, to help with that.
Gracias por el What did you put into?
Hey, all my He amayo anahena yo, he amayo anahena yo. He amayo anahena yo, he amayo anahena yo. Wahi
So the Shipibo artwork is very interesting. They hand stitch these designs and cloths and clothing, and all of it is based on the ayahuasca visions, and not just the visions but the worlds that open up in the visions. And each world is made out of patterns, and each plant has patterns, and so the plants of the different worlds have the different patterns, and they all have a song. So the world and the pattern and the song are all interwoven, and all like different aspects of the same thing. And it's also traditionally been described as sheet music. There's like, apparently it's a dying custom, but there used to be Shipibos that could see the pattern and know the song, or hear the song and create the pattern. So it's very intertwined cosmology or cosmovision about the worlds that occur within the spirits of the plants, the dimensions of the plants, accessible through ayahuasca predominantly, and how the women that do this, at least the ones that diet the plants, they aren't preset patterns. They aren't repeated patterns. Some of them do, you know, they learn from their parents and stuff. And the ones that actually work with the plants, it's a spontaneous. It's similar to the ceremonial songs, and that the songs aren't wrote. They aren't memorized and sung the same way each time. They're more organic, and there's more of a spontaneous creativity that takes part on a symbiotic level, because it's in conjunction with the plant spirits and the consciousness of the human. So both the songs and the visual artwork are similar in that there's a high level of organic spontaneity, creativity as it comes out. It's like the mind of the plants is functioning through the mind of the human to make either the artwork, or the songs. They're also described as pathways, that the larger lines are pathways that one can walk on, and each plant has its own holographic matrix, and when you diet that plant, those pathways get kind of inscribed into your being. They allow the ayahuasca to travel through you on that holographic matrix in a particular way, as per that plant that you've dieted and that is in your being. So it's insanely intricate, their artwork, and then there's also ancestral patterns and a very high level of symbolism. Even the borders symbolize a certain thing. It's very intricate, it's very beautiful, and it's very visually appealing. It's very special. And when you see them geared up in their traditional wares, it's very, like I said, visually appealing. And a lot of their clothing mimics these spiritual realities that they, other dimensional planes that they can access through plants. It's all very intertwined in their culture.
So it is currently 7 p.m. I'm heading up to meet with the others, and we're heading out of camp to find the sacred tree. That's the plan right now. We're going on a mission. What's up, Cesar?
Hola. ¿Todo bien?
What's up?
Todo bien.
Whoa! Whee! How you feeling, Mikey?
Fantabulous. Yay!
Hello, Moto.
Esto sí. De allá, mire, por ejemplo, acá tenemos acá.
Pero no hace
Wow.
un poquito hace daño.
No, luego de nuevo empieza a brotar. Ajá.
So that's where they take
Yeah, sometimes they'll cut
the wood from
nodules.
for the pipes.
Yeah. Different places.
Oh, tenía un cosa así.
Claro.
Ah, ok, después lo... Oh, ok.
Ajá.
Ah, como...
Well, it's 7 o'clock. We're out at Noirau. The big mother Noirau. Seeing the lights. Seeing the leaves glowing blue. Like in the movie Avatar. The real deal. This is the mother tree. This is one of the first found in the last 40 years. And since this one's been found, a few others have started to show up. Starting to find its way back to Earth and seed itself back on the planet. As light comes to more, the Earth evolves into more 5D, and we move out of 3D. We get to experience a new shift of how we experience Earth and all its gifts. We see plants not just as inanimate objects, we see plants as spiritual objects.
Mikey, look at this.
Madrecísima.
So it's not easy to talk about Noira in just a few minutes.
Yeah. You can go a bit longer with this one.
Okay. Noira is the most rare and sought after tree in the Shipibo tradition. The tree is bioluminescent. The leaves, the decomposing leaves glow, the inner bark glows, sometimes different things that grow on the tree glow. And traditionally according to the Shipibos is thought to be the tree of God, and the presence of light coming from the tree is the sign of God's presence. It's the decomposing leaves that release the light, and it's the light that the leaves release is the light of the sun. Because the plant is self-realized as light, it doesn't need to consume light in the way that other plants do. It doesn't need to photosynthesize in the way that other plants do. And so it's like being the light of the sun. And so So that's why it's hard to define what Noirao is, because it's a tree, it's a species of tree, but it's also a consciousness, and that consciousness is not separate from the consciousness of light or the sun itself. It's like if something is really self-realized as light, then that's where an understanding of unity comes from, because light literally creates everything on our physical plane, and it's literally everywhere, and it literally permeates everything, even at the nighttime. I mean, even when the visible spectrum of, the small spectrum of light that's visible to our eyes is no longer present, i.e. at night, that there's still light everywhere, and infused in every material object. And so this is also what Noirao teaches, and also what Noirao is, you could say. But there's definitely this understanding of unity, consciousness, as well as non-duality. We consider the plant to be enlightened, and not all plants are made equal, and this is also made evident in its syllabus. When we talk about dieting plants, each plant has like a syllabus, a generalized syllabus that you see enough people dieting this plant, and you'll see enough of a trend as far as what the plant teaches. And Noirao is very much teaching about unity, teaching about lack of separation, teaching about non-duality, and also teaching about love. It's said that like the sun is the proof of divine love. It gives us life literally, and it also gives life unconditionally, meaning the sun shines for everyone. It's usually like some quote-unquote bad person or sinner. It's not like the sun's like, no, I'm not giving you life. It loves without reservation, without condition. And that's very similar to what Noirao is teaching. This kind of love that knows no limits, love that can't be lessened by any kind of lack of love that's being received. She's also considered the path of light, the path of love, and the path of truth. So light, because the tree gives off light, and when you are dieting with the tree, then it's very common to have visions of extreme amounts of light. But in another sense, because light could be seen as the light of consciousness, and when you shine the light of consciousness, you actually see what's there, hence the path of truth, because she shows us what's there. She illuminates the shadows, both inside of us and then in others. Like initially you start and illuminating the shadows within you, and over time, at least from a perspective of a healer or a diagnostic perspective, she helps us to see like what's inside of others, and also like what's at the very root of someone's issues. There's all kinds of layers of an issue or an ailment, but she helps us get to the root. So this is why the path of light, and the path of truth, and then the path of love. So we expressed before that light again can be seen as a physical manifestation of love, because it gives life.
Yana wana he nene. 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 Omete o twizilo postli. Shipeto tek pescatli boca. Omete o twizilo postli. Shipeto tek pescatli boca. Yana wana he nene. Yana wana he nene. Yana wana he nene. Yana wana he nene. Donan sin klali. Inot lasod meshikame. Donan sin klali. Inot lasod meshikame. Yana wana he nene. 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 Quetzalco atwitzilo postli. Shipeto tek pescatli boca. Quetzalco atwitzilo postli. Shipeto tek pescatli boca. Yana wana he